Hey friends, my name is Gabrielle and welcome to FrumiousReads, and I am going to be reacting slash just recapping what happened in Season 8, Episode 4 of Game of Thrones. Now, as you see, Christian is not here with me. Unfortunately, he is not feeling too good and he is very tired, so I will be doing this by myself tonight. Hopefully he'll be able to show up next week for Season 8, Episode 5, which looks like it's going to be absolutely insane. But let's talk about Episode 4, shall we? A lot happened in this episode, yet simultaneously a lot of setup was done in this episode, so I guess that means the same thing. We saw the ending of the conflict with the Night King and the dead, which was very quick and just kind of consisted of the funeral that they had. Now that the Great War has been fought, we kind of see Dany reacting to Jon's news and Jon trying to figure out how to keep it the same between them, and Dany trying to figure out how to keep it the same and still keep her kingdom. We get to see the Stark family reacting to Jon's news that he is actually a Targaryen as well. On top of that, we have another sighting of Cersei. A lot of things happen. A dragon dies. And we end with the death of Missandei, who is basically Daenerys' best friend, and I think one of the only people who has still been with Dany since the beginning. And now we see her losing that connection to her past, on top of losing another dragon, which is a child, which is basically her child. So we have Dany, who is emotional, who is very upset and angry and has all this rage pointed towards one person. And I think that's going to lead up to a very interesting episode 5. Now, let's go back and kind of hit through all of that. Okay, so the ending of the conflict of the dead. For all that episode 3 was just this giant war. It was a battle. It was non-stop fighting and action. The climactic way that it ended with Arya killing the Night King. I feel like this episode kind of really rushed over it. Like, I understand both from writing, having this be episode 4 out of 6. They have to kind of go quickly through these things, but also from perspective-wise, Daenerys' whole perspective has been, we deal with the Night King, then I go claim my kingdom. So now that the Night King is done, it's time for her to go claim her kingdom. They've buried their dead, or they burned their dead. She has no more reason to waste. Personally, I would have loved to see more about aftermath of the battle of the night with the Night King. I would have loved to see the reactions to find out that Arya was the one to kill him, to see how this related to the prophecy and how the Lord of the Light is brought into this. Like, I would have loved to see more about the aftermath of what happens when you defeat the army of the dead. And I understand that we kind of we have to keep moving forward. We can't just spend all of our time on the army of the dead, but since this was built up to be such a big villain, this was the penultimate battle between life and death, I would have liked to spend a little bit more time on how they celebrated their victory. Speaking of celebrating their victories, Gendry is now a lord, and he proposes to Arya, which as someone who ships them together, I love the fact that they are admitting their love to each other. However, it was so unrealistic because Gendry, you should know Arya by now. You know that she's not a lady. She's been telling you that from the beginning. And I think part of his proposal was just because he was like completely excited about the fact that they've won and they lived through the battle and he's been made this lord and now he's on equal ground as her, considering, you know, the whole like royalty aspect of it. But realistically, Arya still has so many things left unfinished and she's never been a lady. That's never been what she wanted. I don't know. I'm hoping that they kind of get over that and Gendry realizes that he still loves her and she still loves him, and after this whole thing is done, they can be together in a way somehow. But that just may be me wanting them to be together versus what the actual reality of it may be. We get another quick look at the dead, which is very sad, but and I love the fact that we get to see a goodbye to them. We do get to pay homage to them. But I just wish they would have lasted a little bit longer. So, and then we get to see the celebration, and in the celebration we get to see Gendry is made a lord by Daenerys, who kind of lifts the spirit of the party. It went from kind of being this very somber, funeral-esque type of gathering to now it's a party and everyone's celebrating. It's also in this scene that we get to see a bunch of relationships playing out. We get to see the Lannisters and Brienne of Tarth and Podrick all kind of banding together and playing a game. We get to see Jon getting hailed by everyone as this king and this madman who rides a dragon and who helped prepare them for this battle and all of that and trying to face off against the dragon. And then we get the shot of Daenerys alone and she's watching Jon being kind of hailed. She's seeing the charming aspect he has, the way that people are pulled to him. I think that's the first part where she really starts worrying about the threat he represents. So then comes her proposal of they can stay together, but only if he never tells anyone who he is, including his family, which Jon is very loyal and tied to his family, so obviously that's not going to work out, and it doesn't. And from there, we see more of the game being played. You know, Sansa studied Littlefinger, she learned what to do, what not to do. She knows what will happen if she tells Tyrion who Jon really is, and she does tell Tyrion, and Tyrion tells Varys. Tyrion's still holding on to hope for Dany because he's seen the great leader that can be, but Dany's starting to spiral because she's lost almost everyone who she's been close with. Jorah and now Missandei, and so she's kind of spiraling and losing vision of what she really wanted. So I think they're both starting to worry about that. And then we get Jaime and Brienne. Oh, I was so happy they got together, but of course this is Game of Thrones and nothing can stay happy. But Jaime hears about what happened with Cersei and I just think that Jaime feels like it's better to die trying to take out Cersei for everything that she's done, because he will never be redeemed, than to build a life for himself. So I think it'll be interesting because I feel like it's now down to either Arya or Jaime to kill Cersei, because Arya had that prophecy about green eyes, and then Jaime has this motivation to kill his sister and doesn't really view himself as worth living. Missandei's last words to Dany were DRACARYS, which obviously means that Dany's gonna light everyone up. As for predictions for next episode, personally, I feel like it's going to be another battle episode. I think that they're gonna have to deal with Cersei and her threat and get into the King's Landing. I don't want to say this because you never really know with Game of Thrones, but I feel like right now it's kind of come down to the fact that yes, Cersei is going to be out of the game. She is going to die in this season. So yes, it's going to be a big battle, a heavy battle. There will probably be heavy losses on both sides, but I do think Cersei will either be captured at the end of next episode or die at the end of next episode. Which brings me to, I think also that this will be the time that Dany realizes that people are starting to turn on her, like Tyrion, like Varys. And I think she's going to order Jon's death. Or this is how I think episode 5 will end, with Dany kind of turning on Jon after they've dealt with the Cersei problem, because that's kind of where her mindset is. So I don't know, this is a very big episode. There was a lot of things that happened. I feel like I missed a ton that I wanted to talk about, but there's so much to talk about too at the same time. I don't know, I would love to know what you thought. Whatever things that I did not hit or talk about that you would love to talk about, let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, then make sure you subscribe to my channel to stay updated for when I upload my next Game of Thrones talk. But for now, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.